peeps. I thought I would do a witchy chat kind of, check-in video. It is getting close to the end of February finally here in New England. It seems like every year I struggle a little bit more with how long winter is up north. And I am definitely in revolt against the amount of snow we have here and the longevity of this winter. I put my ripped spring blue jeans on today and I was just like, fuck it, I can't be in winter mode anymore. I need to pretend it's spring, at least in my mind. So that's that's a little bit where I'm at as far as the weather and the slower months of winter. Definitely as I get older, I find it harder and harder every year. But there's something to be said for the waiting process of hibernation and germination, right? Like, that's not an instantaneous thing. So I try to remember that too. And I did want to do like kind of a music check-in with you guys too, because I know some of you love music as much as I do. I'm really excited because I'm going to get to see All Them Witches live this spring in April down in Portsmouth. And yeah, I ended up having an extra ticket and threw it out there on Instagram. And so one of you is coming with me, which is really exciting. Looking forward to that. And I also just scored tickets to see Deftones this summer. So I don't know, some of you know this if you've been following the channel for a long time, but Deftones were this huge group for me, especially in my late teens. So, the way I grew up, like music, like Deftones was contraband, but my brother bought me the White Pony album and snuck it into my car, and I would listen to it while I was driving around, and it reminds me, I think the Deftones, I have such a deep personal attachment to them because it reminds me of being 19 and, feeling bold, I guess. And like, I didn't know anything could happen, I guess. Yeah, feeling like anything could happen. So, the Deftones totally remind me of that time. And I've wanted to see them live since my early teens, and I've seen a lot of live bands over the years. I'm super fortunate in that way. Music is like eating for me, and so I consider it a necessity to see certain bands live and to experience live music, and that really feeds my soul in a powerful way. So yeah, I finally, I'm 35. I'm going to be 36 in May, so I'll be 36 by the time I see them. I'm finally going to get to see them live, and I am beyond excited for that. So, Chino writes his lyrics in, I am saying similar way. I don't think everybody else would, and this is certainly a personal opinion, but in a very unique way, similar to actually how I experience E.E. Cummings' poetry, in that when he writes, it's more about the sound of the word than the meaning of the word. And I have always found that to be really fascinating as someone who likes to write poetry as well. The ability to string words together in such a provoking way, and having that be a sonic thing, not necessarily a meaning thing. So to get to see Chino perform live is a big deal for me. Yeah, it's a really big deal. I'm super excited for it. So I have that I'm really looking forward to. And the Contrary-wise deck challenge is going on right now on the channel. If you haven't checked that out and you want to join us, please feel free to. It's for the week. All of the videos, all of the how-to videos are uploaded now. So you can, you get to set your own pace with it. I'm not saying like on Wednesday night do this. So it's all out there, and that feels really good for me too, that it's like all out there and everybody is like having their own experience with how they choose to schedule that in. let's see, what else did I want to say? Oh, but to go back to music as well. So all them witches, I've really been exploring their catalog of music, and I've really, really been enjoying it. So as I get older, I definitely feel really drawn to more like blues and jazz. That doesn't mean that I've lost my love for my screaming boys. Or my goth music. Dark wave and goth music will always be my number one love. And I've actually been finding some new kind of angry guy bands too. Been listening to Knocked Loose and Chelsea Grin a little bit, and that's been really enjoyable for me to like. I think a really fascinating thing is that you can kind of access Kali through that music, and it's guys singing it, which always cracks me up. I think societally sometimes we feel like dudes get the corner on the anger market, and really they're accessing, in my opinion, an aspect of the sacred feminine. So yeah, so listening to that's been enjoyable for me too, as I connect with new people and have new experiences as well. And still feeling on my witchy path, very connected with the ocean. It's definitely something that getting back to her, like as far as being able to spend more time with her, is a really important goal of mine, and something that I am working hard to make happen in a lot of ways in my life. So, and again, the music comes into that too, because it's a wonderful way to connect with the element of water. In fact, I've been thinking about doing a couple things in regards to music. So I've been thinking about doing like an elemental playlist, a playlist for each of the elements based on music that I love. So some of you will enjoy some of the stuff and some of you won't. As well as doing some playlists for certain oracle and tarot decks that I really, really love. Because I do actually have certain tracks that I listen to based on decks, and definitely based on the elements and what I feel expresses the elements in a powerful way for me. So be looking for that on the channel too, because I've been thinking about that. And I think I'm used to, like personally in my life, kind of like running from one thing to the next, or having that feeling of sometimes like a frustration or futility. And I've really been working this year especially on not reacting from that space, but instead like kind of staying with it and letting it play itself out without having to make that be about something in my life that I have to push against. If you're a Taurus and you have a lot of water in your chart, you may find that you tend to do this too. Like always need to be like fighting against the man, or like working like pushing against something. And there are definitely times in our lives when that's really, really powerful and important. And then there are also times when, being receptive, not reactive, is important too. So I've definitely been sitting with that, and I think how that's expressing itself in my spiritual practice personally, in my witchy journey, is definitely a connecting with the elements. But it's involves for me a lot of time in sacred space when I have that available to myself. Sitting in front of the altar and allowing myself to feel my feelings, as Lana Del Rey would say in the song "In My Feelings," and just kind of letting emotion out, letting stored emotion out of the body. I think sometimes when we really get jazzed about occult work and we're living this magical life, we can really want to make it about the art of, craft working and the art of spell working, or, fancy altars and doing those type of things. And those things are an equal and important part of our path. Pause for a sip of tea. But I think where the real I think where the real beauty comes in is when we are kind of brought down to like when we have to strip things down and it's just the brass tacks or like the bones of something that's left. And when that happens, and that's what's there, that's when we really see what is true for us and like what we can always come back to. That's when we really know like what's core for us. And I find in times like this for myself, when I feel that kind of, even just the frustration of the time of year here in New England, for me personally, this is just isn't my beautiful time. I know for some of you this is like the most magical time of the year, which, you know, yay for you guys. But when I come back to like the bare bones of a spiritual practice, there's something really beautiful about the drawing that one card and then sitting in front of the altar and talking to the divine. And there's something really, really super empowering about that, but also, yes, empowering, but also like that you can always count on that, right? Like whether you have a black candle or not, you can always sit in front of your altar. You can always be out in nature and connect with the divine. And I love that idea of not needing to have a filter or something as a go-between. And so in those times when you want to push or you want to like make something happen just to move something forward, and I think if we're really honest with ourselves, we all do that sometimes, where you try to make something happen by pushing, you know, pushing events forward. It's like engaging with the tower's energy, but you being the tower, the expression of the tower. And I do think that we all can go through periods in our lives where we do that. Sometimes like stripping things back is very helpful in those moments to the base of a practice that allows you to feel a sense of connection. And then also to be able to understand for yourself that, you know, sometimes that need to want to blow something up or burn something to the ground, as it were, is really talking about something within yourself that you're not able to love and nurture, or not even that necessarily, but even understand or give a voice to. Which is why on the channel and as a healer, I always recommend a practice like journaling or something like that, because it does really help you to process and to understand your feelings and where you're coming from for yourself. And once we can name something, sometimes it empowers it, but sometimes it also helps it lose the fuse, you know, or lose that trigger switch. So there's real importance to honoring and processing. You know, there's also an importance to, you know, giving yourself a break too, but there is a beauty of that. So those are things I've kind of been personally sitting with, and you know, wanting also like from a channel perspective for people, you know, I really want you all to be getting the power of experience that I get out of working with cards, from the cards for yourselves. You know, to have that really impactful experience. And that's why I wanted to set up the Contrary Wise deck challenge too, so that there's that opportunity to have a really powerful experience with a deck, and it does involve deep introspection, and that's a place where, well, I think it does anyhow, like personally on our paths, but also in regards to really connecting with something, really connecting with a sacred tool, you know, whether that's a deck or a wand, or let's say you're working with tomahawk as a sacred tool, you know, any of those things. It requires a level of showing up. And yeah, so I'm hoping that the channel can help for those of you who are like, I'm trying to work with cards and I'm really feeling Like, I don't know how to have this type of experience. You know, for some of us it's just instantaneous, for others it's something that you work at, and both of those things are beautiful, right? Like the child prodigy who came in with an ability to play the piano still gets something out of, you know, maybe having to study to understand math, right? Like there's on both of those sides, whether it's an instantaneous connection with card reading or it's something, a practice that you're building, there's a real there's a real sense of practice serving, and it's like that marriage between the intuitive and the wisdom, right? So yeah, this is a super rambly video, but I haven't done one of these in a while, so I wanted to put one up for you guys. Just kind of a synopsis of, you know, just kind of what I've been thinking about. I also had the opportunity to go and see the Hyman Bloom exhibit at the Boston Museum of Fine Arts before it ended, and that was one of the most profoundly beautiful exhibits I have ever had the experience of walking through, just for myself in what he was exploring in his work, and also the colors and the tones and the feel, and even the way the exhibit was set up. I mean, most of it was all, you know, beautiful black tones and you know, reds and these ochre tones, and really, really beautiful in that way. And that really spoke to me and was very, very much inspiring for me, because I've been, you know, I'm still working on the Oracle deck, guys, believe it or not. I've stopped like posting things about it because it's apparently going to be a journey of a decade or so, and that's okay. I'm really okay with however long it takes. I want to put out something that's authentic to how spirit and energies connect with me, and that can be a tool for people. That's more than just something pretty that sits on your shelf. But I found the Hyman Bloom exhibit to be really impactful for me in regards to how I want the guidebook to feel, which is very much like an artist's journal. So we're gonna see, like, I'm not an artist in the traditional sense of the word, but there's a way that I would like to bring that feel into a guidebook for the deck that I'm making, which is going to be based on the ocean still. It's just had a total revamp from the beginning, where it was very much based on my partner's, at the time, photography. And so I am actually doing all the photography myself. I had put a call out last year for a photographer and had talked to a few wonderful artists, but one of you had messaged on Instagram or something like, you should really be doing it, you know, you should do it yourself. And that really stuck with me. And so over the summer, I took photos everywhere I went on my iPhone, not even with a professional camera, and started to compile the images. The basic meanings are mostly all written. I revamped all the cards from the original time period that I had spent working on them while I was living in Portland, because I feel like I learned a lot from that time in my life, and yet the deck has to reflect a bigger voice than a finite period of time in my life. And I didn't want the influence of another person's lens on the deck any longer. Once I started taking photos and realized that the photography, that I could do the photography at a level that would allow it to be a deck, I really wanted then all of it to reflect a very personal way of experiencing the element of water as seen through the ocean, but also walking a spiritual path, and what that can look like for one person and for anyone who's looking to have that type of connection in life. It's interesting because all of us are so different and so unique, and it's a really beautiful thing. And there are some people who, you know, the day-to-day is actually really fulfilling, right? And then there are some of us who have to go underneath and dive deep in order to feel that same level of fulfillment. And I've always been one of those people, someone who has seen the world and everything through a different lens than most. And I would like to create something, have something out there in the world. And I hope that, you know, what I have created already expresses a lens that is unique, while at the same time empowers others to let their lens be as unique as they would like it to be, and not need to apologize wherever that falls on that spectrum of uniqueness. So those are my thoughts for February, guys. It's one of those months. Like February, I'm always like slogging through it because it's so like cold and snowy and just like, oh, in New England, in this part of New England anyhow. And and but I always end up learning a lot, right? Like that's the thing with the whole aspect of hibernation. That's also like from that time, that forced time of self-reflection, we really do grow and we learn a lot for that more active time of expression that ends up happening in the world. So yeah, so there we go. I've gone on for 20 minutes, guys. I hope that's you know, giving you guys, those of you who like chatty videos, enough chat. I'm gonna do a late winter deck fave video because you guys all love those, and I'm more than happy to offer that for you. I'm also going to be doing a room tour soon. So many of you have asked for that, and like I heard you, and yes, I'm going to be offering that for sure. But and someone recommended I use the camera on my phone, which thank you for that recommendation. Anytime you guys have tech advice for me, please share. It helps me out so much. I do not take offense at it. I feel thankful that someone with more knowledge in that area and arena has given me the grace of some wisdom. So I definitely am going to be able to do that. And I'll talk a lot about it because it's a work in progress, this space for me, and it's very, very sacred. So yes, so I'm going to be doing that actually pretty soon. I'm going to try to get that done this week, guys. But decks that I've been using, so I'm using the Isis Oracle for the Contrary-Wise challenge. So that's going to be this week. I've already started. I started early so that I could make some videos to like walk the path with you guys. But outside of that, Alice the Wonderland Oracle, guys, I really love that deck so much. I don't even, like, I don't know. I just love it so much. And I might do a video on that too. Kind of another chatty video. I was gifted the True Black Tarot, and I had the same experience with the True Black Tarot that I did with the Tarot Vampires when I opened it immediately. It was like, it's like, you know, when you don't believe that you can fall in love, and then you meet somebody and you fall in love, and you're like, holy shit, this is what everybody's been talking about. So that's the type of experience I had with the True Black Tarot. It was like I opened the box, and like moonlight came out of the box. It was like, oh, and there were like cherubs, and they were singing, and there was like a trumpet. I don't know. No, it was like love at first sight for me with that deck. I am so like I look at it and I just feel like I'm in awe and like so blessed that first of all someone sent it to me because it was on my list, but I wasn't able to purchase it myself at this time. But also just the level of connection. I forget what that's like until you have it. Like, and I get a little spoiled with Tarot Vampires because it's always like that for me. That deck is always like, we always have that level of connection. So to experience that again with another deck, like also reminded me of the level of connection I feel with the Tarot Vampires in that way and how powerful it is, which is pretty fucking magical. So yeah, yep. And oh, tattoo video. I know you guys have been asking me for a tattoo video, so yes, I will be getting that done to talk about, you know, new tattoos, what's going on with my tattoos, why I have them, how many I have. Disclaimer, I have quite a few, and I will be getting a lot more in my life. I am one of those people who will probably at some point be mostly covered. So yeah, that's never going to change. That's who I am. I've been that way for about 10 years now, so I don't really see that changing. But that's that, guys. This is my like Witchy Chat February update. It was super long. I hope for those of you who made it, that those of you who like chatty videos, that this definitely lived up to that for you. I'm hoping spring will come soon to New England, and when it does, I know I will feel very inspired. But yeah, that's where we're at, guys. So thank you so much for all your support. Thank you for you know, all of you who watch the channel, who subscribe, who purchase readings and sessions, who support the channel, you know, even just your views, all those things mean a great deal, and I'm very, very thankful for that, to be able to live the life that I live. I feel, oh my God, now I'm going to cry. I feel like so blessed. I feel so, so blessed to be a healer and to get to walk that path in all ways in my life. So I'm just really thankful for that. So I'm sending you all much love and many blessings, and I will see you in the next video.